It is expected that Budget 2022 will be completed and presented to the National Assembly by the end of this month. However, while the contents of the budget are still to be known, the leader of the People's National Congress Reform, Aubrey Norton, is proffering that Budget 2022 must not be the continued pandering to an elite section of the private sector. This view was shared on Friday during a virtual press conference.
PNC calls upon the government to craft a budget in 2022 that will bring relief to the Guyanese people and transform their lives in a meaningful way.
To achieve this vision of a people-centered budget, a number of recommendations were put forward by Norton, including an increase in the income tax threshold to $1.5 million from the present $780,000, and a change in the income tax law to ensure that the minimum wage is never taxed. Additionally, he reiterated his calls for public servant workers to receive no less than a 25% salary increase this year. And as Guyana continues to grapple with the COVID-19 pandemic, a situation he restated that is being mismanaged, he conveyed that there should be a higher risk allowance for all eligible frontline workers.
The payment of a COVID risk allowance to all eligible frontline workers of $50,000 every 6 months until the COVID pandemic has been declared officially over by WHO.
He further recommended that old age pension should be increased from $25,000 to $35,000 and that all eligible micro, small, and startup enterprises should benefit from a $5 million grant. But apart from these small undertakings, Norton also wants the government to invest in some larger developmental projects.
Set aside about $5 billion to implement a program of infrastructure renewal in depressed villages and communities, entailing roads, drains, community and recreational centers, markets, etc.
More so, he also called for the implementation of programs such as the Rural Agricultural Infrastructure Development (RAID), which was implemented under the coalition government to develop sustainable farming in Buxton, Betavawakton, and Maka. This, he believes, will reduce importation costs for commodities such as carrot and broccoli. With regards to addressing poverty, a sum of money must be set aside to conduct a survey on poverty in the entire country so as to better target ameliorative policies and measures, Norton said. These inclusions, he believes, will help to lessen the impacts of the existing high cost of living. It was highlighted that even with Guyana's booming oil industry, cost of living has increased to about 20%, sparking fears that the country is already suffering from the dreaded resource curse, also known as the paradox of plenty. The paradox of plenty refers to the failure of the country to benefit from its natural resource wealth and the failure of the government to respond effectively to public welfare needs. On another note, it would appear as though the meeting between Norton and the opposition leader Joseph Harmon to discuss Norton possibly becoming the opposition leader went extremely well. However, it was conveyed that the issue will be dealt with privately from here on out.
It's an internal matter and we will discuss it internally, and once we will have completed those discussions, I will inform the press in future.
For the HDP Nightly News, Kendell Richmond.